Jay, I caught a glimpse of the Jay-Z interview with Gayle King. And one of the things that he talked about was, or she asked him about, was vulnerability. And he said that it's hard being vulnerable in front of the world. It's hard learning in front of the world. And knowing his background, knowing his history, his experience in growing up in New York, I want to know if you also feel that way. Do you feel as though it's difficult to learn in front of others, be vulnerable, etc.?
Yeah, that's a true statement. Of course, I don't have his reach of learning in front of the world, but for anybody, especially entrepreneurs, you kind of feel like you gotta have it all together before you bring in staff. Before you make certain moves, before you walk into a different room, because your vulnerability can lose you money, can lose you an opportunity, can get you taken advantage of. Quick, small story. I remember bringing my first intern in, and I was just a photographer at the time, just really getting started, really getting to it. Got my first office, little small office, about 400, 500 square feet. And I'm bringing an intern in, needs some help, and he's a college student. His first day with me, by the end of the day, he asked, can he be my partner as opposed to be, work for me. See, so that was, he saw the whole blueprint. He saw everything as soon as he walked in the door. And so the vulnerability that he saw in me and in my business structure made him feel like, hey, I can just skip the line and go straight to being his partner. That's where that comes in, so you got to be careful who you're being vulnerable around, even if it's just one person. So imagine someone like him being vulnerable in front of millions. That's a tough thing. And the way the world is now with social media, you can't have a bad day. They talked about his daughter, you know what I'm saying? So it's a tough nut to crack, but definitely for the regular individuals, it's just definitely vulnerability it can be perceived as a weakness. It's definitely can be very expensive to the wrong person. I know people try to encourage you to be vulnerable, but I haven't had a lot of great experiences with vulnerability, so I'm against it. I know it's a necessary evil, and it's something that people always gonna have some type of vulnerable space or be in vulnerable spaces at some point in their life. But I try to avoid it at all costs because I haven't had great experiences with it. It's just a tough thing to overcome for individuals, especially if you're somebody who's trying to be in the forefront of a business, of, a movement or anything. People are watching you and they always want you to seem like you're on your A game. It's very hard for you to be perceived as a person that's not on 100% every time you step out the door.